Hey, Gabriel, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you very much for inviting me again.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So I wanted to talk today about the phishing scams that are out there. They seem to just, there's a lot of them and they come in a variety of different mediums. So maybe the first question would be is what is phishing?
Yeah, at the essence, it's when somebody tries to fool you to think that there's someone someone you trust, whether it's an individual or a company, and make you do something because you trust them. They exploit your trust. So they can send you an email. The email can be from your bank, or it can be from a family member, or really anyone that you either do business with or you trust. And they ask you to, for example, take action. If it's your bank, they can tell you, for example, that someone change your password, and you have to review it right now. So that sense of urgency is something that we always see because it clouds our judgments. We're emotional people. So
Right.
it's usually an urgent matter. It's something that is very emotional and makes us do something. And usually it's logging into a fake bank page that looks identical to, my own bank, or to Google, or to Office 365, or any basically service or app that I use.
Okay.
And then
All
don't
right.
steal information, right? So when I log in, because it's fake, they steal my information and they take over my account. So that's the
Uh,
goal, is to eventually steal my identity and take over my accounts and basically have access to my kingdom.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, actually, just recently I received an email and they were saying it was from Amazon and
Mhm.
that I had purchased a couple computers and that it was being sent to some address in Florida and that they gave me a phone number to call. I could click on a link and I actually had probably 100 different things going on in my mind and I was busy and I saw that and I went, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. And I clicked on the phone number to call it and it went through and I got somebody. And it wasn't till I the person answered and I was talking to them that in my mind, I went, oh my gosh, this is a fake email. So so there is that sense of urgency, and especially like you said, we're emotional people, but we're also very busy people, and so we're not always taking a minute or two to stop and think about it. What types of things can you look for in the emails that might
Yeah.
give you a clue that it's a fake email?
Yeah, but before that, here is the thing.
Sure.
You are aware of phishing and you still did it. And you're not
Right.
the only one. People, we tell people, think before you click, but it's hard, right? It's not about knowledge, only about knowledge. All of us, took driving lessons and we are supposed to know the rules, but there's still accidents out there.
Right.
So knowledge is not enough, otherwise there would be no car accidents. The reason is,
True.
again, it goes back to emotions. We think we're over optimistically sometimes. So we think, an offer that was sent to us is something that will help us, whether we are in
Right.
debt or we are lonely and that person is reaching out to us and, maybe we'll find love right now. So we don't think, unfortunately, we act, we have, emotional goggles. That's how we look at the world. And then we process and think. So it's really about habits. Habits work in a way that they protect us. They put, guardrails for us because we just can't think all the time before we take action. But you make it a habit to look at the email address, especially on mobile, where it's very, very hard to understand who's it coming from, because the email address is only revealed when you actually click on the person's name. But we always have to do that. Just get into the habit of doing it, even when it's an email that you think is like, it's totally okay. Just, make those habits work for you all the time. And then when you do that, when you click on a link, just hover all the time, not only when you suspect. When you start, to change your behavior, then you're basically starting to protect yourself. Because when the time comes and they do fool you, you're just in that habit of, checking the email address, hovering over the link. Beyond that, there's a lot of giveaways regardless to that. Things like, if it's coming from someone does that were you expecting that email? Anytime you're not expecting something and it stirs your emotion, that's something to be aware of. Like, I didn't expect that, right?
Right.
You got from Amazon about a TV. Well, you didn't expect that, so just remember that and make it a habit. Whenever something you're not expecting happens, take a step back, have that habit. Then you want to call and verify, but don't call the number that is on the email. Never do that. Like, go to the Amazon website, look for support, call them.
Right.
Because if you're responding to a phishing email, then you're responding to the criminal, right? If you're calling the criminals. And then you're even in a worse situation because they know how to fool you many times and lead you, towards scam. So always verify, but not using the phone number that is listed and not obviously replying to that email. Style of the email, like, does that sound like that person? Even if it's your kid, does that sound like my kid? Because they can also hack your kid's, email address. So that's we call it spear phishing. When it's come from someone that they actually did some research on you and they're sending an email from somebody that really good, for example, or they hacked their account and they're sending you an email that even if you check the email address, it is actually the address. They can also spoof the address. So you want to call and verify between anything that involves money, sending personal information, even if the email looks identical, because it may, a digital identity is not the same as meeting someone in person, because there's a lot of ways to spoof the email, hack the actual account and send from there. So you want to call and verify. And I think the last thing, which is one of the most important things that can actually really, really help you, which is a technology thing, is just enable multi-factor authentication everywhere you can. Because even if you were fooled to, give away your password, they will still need that second authentication code that is sent to your phone or an app, which is even better. So they're halfway there, but not totally there. And social engineering and phishing can also make you give away the code. So those codes are never to be shared in under no circumstance. Like, never share those codes.
Right. So, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned about creatures of habit. And it wasn't till I clicked on that phone number in the email and I got somebody on the other end and he started talking, and my mind, so it was kind of a delayed habit. My mind went to, oh my gosh, I bet you this is a spam, a scam email. And while he's talking, I went right up to the return address or the return, or, the email sender. And I clicked on it and it had some name and then it said @gmail.com. So when he stopped talking, I said, well, isn't it quite interesting? I said, you work for Amazon, but you have a Gmail account, email accounts. And he's like, well, someone's hacked into your Amazon account. You better check it out. And he hung up on me. And I was like, whew, I got out of that one. And then I sat back and went, all right, I got to stop. I can't just rush. I have to take a few minutes. And so that was a little bit of a delayed habit, but but you're right, we do. And I think the more and more that we talk about this and the more and more that people hear it, then it will become second nature to people and they will stop clicking on phone numbers, on links and emails and text messages and things like that, which will then help them be a lot safer and keep their personal information confidential, which is what we need everybody to do.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, we're creatures that, by default trust. I think in nature, that's how we work as a pack. We need to trust each other because we can't, that's how we're naturally wired. But unfortunately, these days, we're at home, a lot of us, and we're working in this digital world, and we can't know for sure that the person we're talking to is the actual person that used to sit next to me. We just can't tell anymore. So we need to just not trust. I know it's hard to say that, but
It
the
is.
default should be you can't trust, and if you have that habit, then you'll be just better off, because it's a minefield out there. Like, it's almost impossible not to be a target. Like, you just
Right.
you have to be like off the grid
Right.
for not to get a phishing email, like, or
Right.
text or whatever. Like, there's so many ways to get phished.
Right, right. I think there's that phrase out there called trust but verify. We can be a trusting person, but you always want to verify
Yeah.
who it is you're
Well,
speaking
we flip
with.
it now. These days we flip it. We say
Verify but
verify.
trust.
Yeah, the security guys say don't trust. They say verify and don't trust. But but I would start with verify. You can't trust. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
You flip
flipped. We
through,
should
you
verify
verify.
first. And then when we determine it's who it's supposed to be, then we can trust that
Yeah.
friend or family member, that it's a real email
It's
or
on
text
you.
message. Pardon me?
Look, if it's on you, because if, for
Right.
example, you were fooled to think that the bank is calling you, and they made you wire money or whatever, the bank may not be there for you, because they will say, look, there is a certain level that we can protect you. You were fooled to think that this is us, right? You should have done your, you should have looked
Right.
at the email. There is a level that we can, be to have your back. If you go in and log into the bank and you wire money to someone, we won't reimburse you for that. Like, you did it.
Right.
So
Right.
we're sorry that somebody fooled you to thinking, but
Right.
come on,
Right.
it's up to you to verify who you're talking to.
Right. Right. We all have to be our own investigator with whoever's trying to get our information. So, well, Gabriel, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us more in depth about phishing, and we'll have another conversation about another topic. I'm sure we're just going to continue to have these conversations, because the scammers are getting they're changing things up all the time, and bringing new things on, and so we just need to keep having these conversations. So thank you again. Pardon me?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm saying these scammers today unfortunately care more about our data than we're willing to safeguard it. So they're very good at trying to take our data. We need to, a little bit more. So at least
that's a very good way to put it. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah. So
okay. Anyways, well,
all right.
talking to you.
It was great to talk to you. All right.
Bye.